Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday morning. Getting close to Friday, aren't we? Let's do verse today. Luke chapter 4, verse 32. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. These were the people in the beginning of Jesus, at least public teachings. I believe that, it's written throughout the Gospels that when Jesus was young, he already started teaching. And then from young age until he was baptized, there's not really anything written. Because I believe he taught, he just didn't do it loudly and openly, because it wasn't yet his time to reveal himself to the world. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. Can you imagine the power of Jesus' word? Teaching, could you imagine sitting and listening to him teach? And see, what he was teaching wasn't what all the prophets and everything had written down, and he was just, all the other men, all the other all the Pharisees and all, they would just read the passages. What he was teaching was new. It was greater than anything they'd ever heard. He would still reference words from, previous prophets like Isaiah, and, Jeremiah. But his doctrine was new. It wasn't based on anything that they had ever read. So they couldn't figure out what he was saying, or they couldn't figure out where he was getting it from. And he was speaking it boldly. Boldly. So he wasn't just, and he had nothing to go by. He was just teaching the Word of God. And pulling from nothing. And teaching them how everything was about to change. And they couldn't understand how everything was about to change, because they didn't know that he was the Lamb of God. No one. Even the disciples, even though Jesus kept telling the disciples over and over what was coming to pass, they couldn't grasp the concept of what he was saying. That he would die for everyone, for us, so that we could be forgiven and we could live eternally. I think that, in fact, that the disciples, maybe even only the apostles, understood when it came to pass what the promise actually was. Even now, people get confused. Christians get confused as to what the promise actually is. But Jesus spoke so boldly with so much power in his words. The people shook at his majesty, his glory. And what's really amazing is they didn't realize that they were looking and listening to God in the flesh. Can you imagine? Glorious. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. God bless y'all.